Okay, so officially welcome everyone to the session. Good little expression session there. Hope you enjoyed that. So now we're going to dive into some of our teaching for today. Let me just share my screen. We'll have a look at today's email, the quote, and then I'll move us nicely into the lesson. So just going to share my screen. Yeah. Zoom in a bit. All right. So we had this quote before. We looked at it last year, but and we did it when we looked at the preface a week ago. It's part of the preface, but makes a really good point about projection perception. So someone want to read that? Someone read the quote?
Yeah. The world we see merely reflects our own internal frame of reference. The dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. Text introduction to chapter 21. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. If we are using perception to justify our own mistakes or anger or impulses to attack or lack of love in whatever force it may take, we will see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. All this we must learn to forgive, not because we are being good and charitable, but because what we are seeing is not true. From A Course in Miracles. Preface, what it says.
What it says. So it makes a really good point in that last sentence. We must learn to forgive or let it go. Not because we're being good, charitable, holy, compassionate, whatever you want to say. A lot of Christians say, well, I should forgive because that's the right thing to do. But they don't have the foundation, the metaphysical foundation for that, because they don't understand that they're seeing isn't true. What we're seeing isn't true. If it's not true, then why am I judging it as real? That's what he's trying to teach us. It's a very simple idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
What we're seeing, what we're perceiving is not really there. It's not really happening. So why are you judging it and having this whole mental, emotional reaction about what's not true? It's the question. Well, why indeed? Only because the ego spun you a story and it's telling you that it's all real and getting you to react mentally and emotionally to it. So if you can remember, in the face of, whatever the ego's projecting this, then the forgiveness is happening. You sit in your higher awareness, and that does transform the situation. So I had a counsel with a chap at the Vipassana retreat. He was sort of the facilitator, and he'd obviously done a lot of it himself. And he said, quite a young guy, in his 20s, and he said, he'd had his dad was quite angry with him and was kind of saying, well, you need to, get your life in order. This might resonate with you, or get your life in order. And he was having a go at him verbally. And he said he just sat there in awareness, and he observed his sensations. So we went, okay, so what's happening in the body now? Because that's what the Vipassana trains you to do. And so, he felt some flat butterflies in his stomach, and he felt some heat, and he just sat in the Vipassana type state observing. And he said that changed it, because he didn't make his reactions real. He just observed them. He said his dad eventually just took a minute or two, just calmed down, he sat down, and the whole thing, came out of conflict into sort of a more normal kind of interaction, just because he didn't react. He didn't honor those reactions and say those are real. He didn't amplify them. He just observed them. So that's the value of doing something like that. Just sitting in awareness, observing the sensations in the body. So emotions manifest as sensations. Then he didn't make it real in that moment. He just saw that it's just sensation arising in the body, and that's ultimately unreal. It's anicca. It's impermanent in Buddhist teaching. They call it anicca. Everything's impermanent, temporary, illusory. It comes and it goes. Sensations arise and they pass away. So you just witness them doing that without giving them the reality that the ego wants you to give them, because the ego wants you to attach to that and then amplify it and then go into it more deeply and then express it out and react. So then you react to it verbally or physically from that place of anger, which then makes it real, doesn't it? You've got the whole now a reality that is just created. So that's what he's saying here. Projection makes perception, and we make it true by our interpretations of what it is we're seeing. If we're using perception to justify our own mistakes, our anger, our impulses to attack, our lack of love, and whatever form it may take, we'll see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. It's quite relevant for what you were discussing, Jackie, with yours. Do you make that all real? Or are you prepared to say, but none of what I'm seeing is true? See, danger of charging in and saying, I want to fix it, is what have you done? You've made it real. And then you bound into the world of anger and evil and malice and attack and so on, because you've made it real for yourself. So the letting go frees you from that. Saying, okay, it's not real. I'm in peace because it's not real. Okay, well, in this, I know it's unreal, but maybe I feel inspired to do something. The quality of your action is going to be different then. It's going to be coming from a forgiving state. It'll be more about spreading the truth and fighting against the illusion. Do you see the subtle difference? Mother Teresa was once asked, well, would you join an anti-war sort of rally? And she thought about it for a bit. She said, no, but if there's a prayer for peace, then I'll be there. Because it's a subtle difference, but it's a profound difference, isn't it? Am I anti something, anti the illusion, which means I made it real, or am I for peace and I'm overlooking and transcending the illusions in that process? And so maybe your action, if it comes out of inspiration, will be a higher quality. It'll come from the spirit and be more effective. Instead of going to war against the evil psychopaths of the world, your focus is helping the seeming victims to overcome their misperceptions and heal their minds. You see, it's a different focus, isn't it? And that's more helpful, because actually that's then healing. Whereas just focusing, the danger with going to war against something is you focus on the negative. Everything's a focus on the negative, and so the negative becomes very real and seemingly quite important, because you dedicate all of your time and attention to facing the apparent opposite. So it's subtle, but it's profound. You can get this, like, okay, do the forgiveness first, always. Find the state of clarity and peace, and then see what happens. Then see what you feel inspired to do. And maybe there's a book in it. Maybe there's a book and a whole coaching career. Who knows? If you let the spirit guide you, and then that would be the most effective way of actually getting the message out there. And you're reaching the people who really need your help. Who have been the so-called victims and they've got issues. You could really help them, and then spread it out there, and then via your contribution it spreads out, because other people tell people, and it starts to become a movement. But it's done from the positive, not from the negative standpoint. You see, not from anger, but from a desire to heal and correct and share the love in your own unique, inspired way. So I'll just be open to that. And we're going to address that towards the end of the course. No high purpose exercise. So it will unfold as it's meant to. Okay, so today's quote from the preface tells us exactly what the world is. Projection of our own dominant ideas, desires and emotions, why we should forgive or let go of it. Not because we're so spiritual or enlightened or any of those terms, which can be just another false self-concept that causes more false projections and perceptions, but because nothing that you perceive outside of you is real. That's the fundamental teaching of this course. There is no world. Nothing out there is real. And today's lesson is perfect. Nothing I see means anything. If you just understood that, you wouldn't need more lessons. It's like, okay, if I fully absorb that, I get it, and then my judgment's over. How can I judge what's not real? So to judge it as real by reacting to an emotion, you see, that's the key that ego's got. The emotions, it triggers emotions, then it becomes very real for you, doesn't it? Now you're in your own story very much, and emotions imprison you. Can you see how they keep you in that separate little container of Jackie or whoever you think you are, and it keeps you separate from others. So we make the mistake of reinforcing the seeming reality of this world through the emotions. And if you recall, it's instrument for peace. Instrument for peace, look, perception, and then right underneath it is emotion, isn't it? So that emotional layer reinforces the perceptions. Perception triggers emotion, emotion reinforces perception, and most people don't go beyond that in their whole lives. They just keep stuck in that cycle. And you're a slave to it then. If that perception and emotion is sponsored by the ego, that keeps you on the surface level of your mind, never really going deeper into thoughts, beliefs, and never getting close to the place where you can actually change your mind at the core. So it's all designed to keep your attention on the surface level and in the prison of your mind.
There's just finished a police drama which several people have probably watched, called Happy Valley.
Okay.
And it gets to the end of 3 series, and there's just the final episode. The 2 main protagonists, which is a policewoman and this criminal, have this confrontation, and the conversation is magnificent in terms of revealing the projections that each has been putting on the other.
Right.
For years, and there's just so much drama happens around it. And even the guy who's been portrayed as being a baddie throughout the whole thing points out to the policewoman where she contributed to the drama.
Yeah. That's interesting. And they say, police psychologists and stuff, they say there's not very much difference between the mindset of a policeman and a criminal. Very, very similar, actually. It's very easy to go one way or another because it's similar kind of. So they're the mirrors, perfect mirrors, Then you see the duality playing out. Criminal, policeman, one's got to catch the other, crime and punishment, judgment, and so on. It's all an ego game. It's been made up to perpetuate a false separated self-concept. And when you start to see that, you can see the world that way. It's so revealing, isn't it? You go, oh my goodness, I understand why there's all this drama. Everyone's just perpetuating this false self-concept, and they're playing the games that the false self-concept needs them to play in order to perpetuate it. And that explains why the world is not peaceful. There is drama, and all these things play out, and we love it. The ego loves that. It loves, and we make movies and TV series about the dramas because it interests us. But you can watch those. I'm not saying don't watch them, but watch them from a different perspective. So you watch that from a course perspective, and you went, oh wow, that's interesting. You can see the projections. You can see how that projection perception mechanism is working, and then it becomes very revealing. You can even watch the news that way, if you like. So okay, so it's all projection. Watch as though you're the observer in the movie, watching it all projected onto the screen. Go, oh, okay, well that's just another false belief. Or what's that showing? And you see the false beliefs, will crop up over and over in these kinds of in the news stories. So in truth, we cannot judge anyone or anything, because what we are judging isn't really there. And so any seeming results of our judgment must also be false. Yeshua tells us very explicitly in this passage from the Manual for Teachers. So someone else want to read that? Anyone? And that's the translated version. Yeah, John?
I'm reading this it was in the black box, aren't it?
Yeah. It
is necessary for the teacher of perfect love to realize not that he should not judge, but that he cannot. In giving up judgment, he is merely giving up what he did not have. He gives up an illusion, or better, he has an illusion of giving up. He has actually merely become more honest, recognizing that judgment was always impossible for him. He no longer attempts it. This is no sacrifice. On the contrary, he puts himself in a position where judgment through him rather than by him can occur. And this judgment is neither good nor bad. It is the only judgment there is, and it is only one. Perfect love's extension is innocent, and sin does not exist. Yes, that's very profound, actually.
So that's another way of saying none of it's real. Because if sin doesn't exist and we're completely innocent, then none of what transpired from sin, none of what seemed to happen, would go to our descent into hell diagram again. Sin underpins the individual identity. So sin, idea of sin and guilt are foundational to the ego. So if sin and guilt don't exist and you're only innocent, you're only pure formless awareness, then none of what came, the consequences of sin, which is fear, anger, attack, the whole projection outwards into seemingly external world to miscreate a physical universe, all the games we play within it, the accusation, the blame, complaint, attack, to try and project the guilt out, all of the insane cycle of that going around and around, believing we really are victims, stuck in an unfair world, living a helpless, enervated little life of limitation, lack, loneliness, and suffering before we die. All of that is a consequence of sin and guilt. Do you see that? So no sin and guilt means all of that is impossible, doesn't really exist. And you go back to your innocent state as pure formless awareness, where there is no sin, nothing ever went wrong. So do you see what he's saying when he says, there is no sin and you're innocent? Do you see what he's pointing to? It's the collapse of the entire dream, saying none of it's real. On that foundation, there is no sin, there is only innocence. On that foundation, your forgiveness rests. So it requires you to believe that in order to forgive, in order to let go. And the more you do let go, the more you do believe that, because you experience it. You experience the miracles that come from this, showing you, that is actually the truth. So letting go is learning that sin is illusion and that you're only innocent. That's in practice a process. As you let go, you learn this is false and you learn this is true. And the more you do it, the more entrenched you become in your new thought system. So the art of letting go reveals the innocence, it reveals the true self. Stated in another way. Okay, happy with that. Let's go back there. So the only true judgment is that everyone is completely innocent, because nothing they seem to say or do has really happened, and therefore it has no effect on their or your true reality. Right? So they're really completely innocent, even when they seem to be psychopathically inclined and guilty. They're not, and it's the hardest thing to do, because it goes completely against what you've perceived and what you believed, isn't it? So okay, but hang on, that's happened. Your mind tells you that's really happened. The person's really done it. How can you say it didn't happen? because it happened in a dream. The dream isn't real, right? It's an illusion of a reality. That's why you can say it. So it didn't really happen in reality. In truth, none of it happened. And so it has no effect on your true reality, which is eternally unchangeable and therefore invulnerable to whatever you may think has happened. So you go above the battleground, in the timeline, all the traumas that seem to happen on the timeline. Course is saying, well, none of them really happened. All right? They happened in a bad dream. It's a nightmare. We've all had dreams. You have a dream, some stuff seems to happen, then you wake up. Where's the dream? It's gone. It's nowhere. It was just in your mind. So how do we know that this isn't just another version of it, just a seemingly more real dream? This is what he's saying. So therefore, none of what happens here is ultimately real, which means it can all be let go of. And there's always this pure formless awareness that is accessible in every moment. So judgment lets go of your attachment to the form of your life, to the seeming circumstances, or the events that have happened, the characters that have shown up, whatever seems to have happened on the timeline for you. That's your story, your life. Your ego is very invested in that. So if you get triggered, then the trigger would be the ego psychological and emotional attachment, pulling you down to identify with that character and make it real in your mind. It does that through the thoughts, habitual thoughts, and emotions, roots you onto the timeline, and you're attached. It's like a suction pad, like a magnetic attraction to the timeline. Think of it like trying to pull you down and clamp you onto that timeline. So the only way is to carry on, forward in the dream. And it's saying you can't go up, you can't do this. Right? So the ego is like the gravitational pull down onto the earth, trying to keep you here, and the spirit's trying to help you to fly and get over that gravitational pull and fly up into clear blue sky, which is always there, that is above the battleground of all this crazy stuff that the ego's sponsored. So if you can accept the fundamental premise, and that's really all it comes down to, Yeshua's teachings. Okay, so this idea that only innocence, perfect love's extension is innocent, only innocence, pure formless awareness is true, and anything else doesn't exist. That's the essential teaching. Very simple. You accept that fundamental premise, then everything you perceive in the seemingly external universe must logically be false. Okay? And the reason we do the forgiveness and letting go is because we don't accept the fundamental premise fully yet. But as we let go, then we're accepting that premise more and more. Your ability to forgive or let go depends on faith. You must be willing to accept what he's saying as true. So will you accept this fundamental premise or deny it? You state that another way. Will you let go of your mental and emotional attachments to the people, things, events, circumstances that seem to exist in this world? It means you must have accepted the premise that they are not true. Or you allow the ego's negative, reactive thoughts and emotions, whatever they are, fear, anger, upset, sadness, cover over or negate the truth. Only pure formless awareness of perfect love is real. Will you allow all of that to dominate your mind and drown out the Holy Spirit's voice? Those are the choices. So whenever you read and reflect on one of the mind training lessons which you're about to start today, you use it to help you let go of negative thoughts and emotions such as anger, attack thoughts, and what the quote calls lack of love in whatever form it may take. And there are many, many forms to it. You accept the premise that none of these thoughts and emotions are real, neither are the people, things, events, and circumstances that seem to justify them. So that's what you're doing. You are training your mind to accept this fundamental premise whenever you let go. State another way. That's the purpose of letting go. So you're learning who you are, and you're learning what reality is again through the letting go process. In our consumer society, it's all too easy to lose ourselves in fantasies, trying to satisfy our desires and the body's apparent needs, as yesterday's text reading says on the distortions of miracle impulses. So we have fantasies of satisfaction. Or, when I get that, when I have that experience, then I'll be satisfied. But actually, that just perpetuates the illusion. We're still seeking satisfaction in the world of form. That is just an optical delusion of consciousness, as Einstein said in this quote. So, anyone like to read that? Human being is part of a whole. Someone else.
A human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe. A part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons near to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty.
And isn't that just the perfect quote for you? Spirit of nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find it so much easier to love all of nature than I do to love all of humans.
But that's an order of difficulty and miracles that you've created. Well, I mean, nature can be incredibly cruel. My goodness.
I watched a fish being eaten this morning.
Yeah. So,
it made me feel quite sick. The kingfisher eating a fish almost the size of a kingfisher, and it wasn't quick. So yeah.
So you see it, and it all looks lovely in the moments you capture it. But what's going on underneath it is it's a thought system of scarcity and lack and survival of the fittest. In order for me to survive, I've got to eat you.
Yeah.
So my life's more important than yours, so I need to eat you, and that's hardwired into the system, isn't it? That's how it works.
It's just that their intention is just to survive, isn't it? There's no being mean to each other. There's no trying to hurt each other's hearts. There's just survival. The difference.
Yeah, I mean, you could say there's no malice, but it's still cruel. To attack and kill things and eat them alive isn't nice for the thing you're eating. It's going to be experiencing some pain. So. It's the ego entrenched in the whole system, and what Esha's asking us to do is see that and go, well, see that it's not of spirit. Spirit doesn't kill and hurt and die, make things die. Everything in nature is very fleeting. Some things last a day or two. You have like insects that's their lifespan's a day. And they food for something else and they get eaten, and you go, well, what was the point of that? Doesn't really seem to have much point, which is kind of the point. Nothing I see means anything. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just the ego's miscreated world spinning out there. Does that mean don't take photographs? No, because if you connect with source through that and you experience the beauty, which is actually inner beauty, then it's part of your healing and your learning in this world. So
definitely, massively.
Yeah, but don't make it into a false idol. That's the thing. Don't go.
I see the
nature's it. This is the answer. No, because clearly it's not the answer. There's no permanence there. It's shifting. It's changing. The whole nature. There's obviously a lot of people who are like, well, we need to conserve nature and protect it, and and they dedicate their lives to that. But it's all changeable. You can't keep it static. It's been changing forever, and it will continue changing and evolving. That's the nature of the illusion. Nothing stays the same. So people who want to reset their earth back to 500 years ago or something, forget it. It's never going to happen. It's an ongoing process of evolution, and part of that evolution is destruction. It's like the things get destroyed and then they come and rise again. And if you see it and you just witness it, it's a much more peaceful experience than if you get attached to the forms that are continuously coming into existence and then seemingly disappearing and then leaving some kind of hole. But Yesha's saying, well, if they were never real to start with, it was all an optical delusion of consciousness, as Einstein calls it. then why did you get attached to any of it? It was all just a delusion. It was a hallucination going on. So just to demonstrate that, anyone, some of you know this, so not the people who know this, but anyone who hasn't seen that picture before, what do you see there? Any thoughts?
A shark or a fish?
Shark. Okay. Who says that? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So look again. Look more carefully. What do you think that actually is?
I know what it is, but I thought it was a boat the first time I saw it.
No.
I thought it was a boat in water.
Did anyone see a boat?
A fish.
You see a fish. Interesting. Okay. But that's interesting because Lynn's just talked about a fish. So maybe that's a little subconscious. Yeah. So do you see, you interpret it in a certain way, but that's actually not, it's not the case. It's not a fish. What do you think it really is?
Well, they say it can be a
Look
boat.
again. Yeah, you're French. That's the key. You're French. Look.
French.
Cheesecake.
What are the French known for?
The frogs?
No, the food.
Yeah,
Cheese-
frog
cheese-
is a food. Some
Yeah,
people
I
eat
know.
frog legs. That's
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, but
Cheesecake.
generally, French cuisine is world famous, isn't it? So it's
A cake. That's a good idea.
It's a cheesecake.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a cake.
Yeah.
Cheesecake.
cheesecake.
Oh, yes, I can see
Yeah.
cheesecake.
Yeah. Now you can see it, but initially you were like, "Oh, it's something else."
Because I thought
Does
it
it
was
not
water.
I
I
know.
thought it was
but
water.
you know, it's an optical illusion, isn't it?
Mhm.
It seems to be one thing, but actually you look again and you see it differently.
No. No.
It looks like and this was actually posted social media at the time of lockdown. The tagline was, well, if you're yearning to go somewhere, because everyone can't travel, if you're yearning to go somewhere, then you probably saw a boat. If you're hungry, then you probably saw a cheesecake. So it
If you
depends on
like
what you want to
swimming
see.
and you're in lockdown, you want to see the ocean.
Yeah, then you'll go, oh yeah, that'd be amazing boat, and you'll see it as your mind see, as you choose to see it, you'll see it. That's really what it's designed to illustrate. So is that reality, or is that just an optical delusion of our consciousness? That's what
Well, we are
sounds-
delusional anyway, right?
Well, the idea we're seeing anything out there is a delusion in the first place. But then do you see how it's a perceptual? Our perception is what makes it real for us. So it's our interpretation. You thought it was a fish initially. That's a very different response, and it's a cheesecake.
Yeah.
It creates a different reality in your mind, depending on your interpretation of the visual stimuli. Certain visual stimuli are coming in and they're going into your brain. Now you have an image, and then you interpret that image in a certain way. And that's what creates your reality, the interpretive nature. And that's what this demonstrates. It's all an interpretation, not a fact. So this, optical delusion causes us to forget who we really are, right? An eternally free, happy self. Christ, of course, America's terminology, Christ is the true self. And the transcendent reality it lives in and by, that Yeshua calls heaven and God. So we call that pure formless awareness of perfect love in alternative language. So the optical delusion is designed to confuse you. That was the purpose. It's designed to confuse you. It's designed to obscure, cover over the pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is in your mind. That's why it's called the veil of illusion. And when I had a kind of mystic experience on day and night of the Vipassana retreat, it was like, yeah, I really got that. I went into the awareness. It was beautiful. It was pristine for a few moments. It wasn't very long. Came out of it, and it was like immediately like download, Holy Spirit interprets the experience, and it goes, well, that's why it's called a veil of illusion, because it's covered it over. And the entire world is just a projection of your ego mind. Then you perceive it as real, and that justifies the thoughts and the emotions internally that cover over that awareness. Do you see? That's what's going on. The whole thing is a setup to produce the thoughts and emotions that come from the separate self that cover over your true self and the pure formless awareness of perfect love that you really are. And that's the purpose of the world. That's the only purpose it has. It's the veil of illusion. It's the Maya. It's the mirror that you lose yourself in. And then you forget pure formless awareness of perfect love. And you believe that you're this little helpless, innovated little self, subject to all of these illusions and continuously vacillating. Your emotions, thoughts, nothing stable, and you lose yourself in the illusion. Literally. And now this is about correcting all of that. Saying no, come back to this awareness, because it's still there. It's just been covered over. So you must let go of the coverings, remove the veil, and what will be revealed, what is what's true, what's always been there. Okay, so there's a bit of teaching here on meditation. One of the ways to do this, one of the most effective ways of removing that veil, as I did 10, 12 hours of meditation a day for 9 days to have that experience, was, a lot of meditation. So just a little bit about the benefits of meditation quickly. There are many hundreds, maybe even thousands of scientifically rigorous studies that show the positive effects on the brain structure of regular meditators. So they can measure these effects on the external level in form. So we have an inner experience in meditation, and then it affects the seemingly objective material body, the brain structure, and they can see that correlation. So they can measure that, whereas you can't measure internal states. That's purely subjective, isn't it? So they can measure things like brain density in the areas associated with self-awareness, love, and compassion, and a reduction in the size of the amygdala, which is the primal part of the brain responsible for emotions like fear, triggering the fight or flight response by activating the sympathetic nervous system. So that's the agent of the ego. You react in that fight or flight way. You triggered. It's reactive. There's no presence, and in that state, there's not a lot of choice. It's like you're going to fight or you're going to flee, and the ego's hijacked your mind basically. So you want to diminish that response, and you want to increase the activity in the other areas, so that in a crisis you have the ability to access those. They develop. You have the pathways, the neural pathways in there to access it. So that's kind of what's happening in the meditation, is you are changing the hardware. You're using your mind to change the hardware, which is the brain, which then allows more of that subjective internal experience to happen. So meditation does change brain structure, it changes physiology, and that then allows more of that subjective experience to happen, because you've rewired neural pathways. And now, if you meditate regularly, it's easy to go there. You just slip into meditation. Your mind knows it and doesn't have that much resistance. If you haven't done it, then you've probably got some rewiring to do, and then you find it difficult maybe. So you're sitting in meditation, lots of distracting thoughts and body sensations, whatever comes up. That's just because you're not used to it. Your body and your internal state are not quite in alignment yet. So meditation is building that inner alignment between the internal I, the subjective I, and the external being your material body and senses, and creating integrity. So there's an integral link, and it feeds back, and these reinforce and self-reinforce and perpetuate each other in a good way. So your external experience is a mirror for your internal state of mind, which is more peaceful, calmer, and that then reinforces more peaceful, calm perceptions. So how do you reset that? That's the question. If you're if you're not in alignment, if your ego's in charge, how do you reset that? And one of the key ways is meditation, not a doubt. This is what the research is saying, that if you meditate regularly, you actually start to profoundly influence the external quadrants, and that changes. Your behavior changes, your brain structure changes. So you can consciously do meditation regularly every day, and that is going to start creating changes in your life. If you do it regularly, it's guaranteed you will get changes. Even if you find it difficult, there's still stuff that's shifting. And in the sessions might be quite interesting for people. So has anyone felt kind of spaced out? There was a lady came on and she was like, well, I feel really like spacey. I do a deep meditation and I come out and I'm like, whoa, like I'm out of it. And then maybe struggling to come back into it.
Yeah, like last night after the meditation
Yeah.
we did, I was feeling
Yeah.
spaced out. So it was hard to
Yeah.
get back into the text.
Yeah. Hmm.
I
So
don't know if it was spaced out or very relaxed and calm,
well,
ready to sleep, or yeah, I guess it was
yeah.
spaced out.
You're in an altered state. You're in a
Yeah.
like a deep alpha, maybe verging on theta. And I bring you back and it's like, whoa, okay, you
Yeah.
know, I was in a. So if you need to come out of meditation and then kind of be alert, there's you know, some breathing techniques you can use to just bring you back quickly into alertness, which I can share very quickly. They don't take long. So you can go, you can do this one. You can just go. So everyone try that just for 30 seconds. You push out, blow out as you push out. So the focus is on the exhale. And you just move your hands. You know, ideally you can stand up to get a bit of body movement, a bit of blood flow. And you do that for 30 seconds or a minute. Just keep doing it while I'm talking and observe how your state changes. And it tends to bring you back into some kind of you know, awareness quite quickly. So that's a quick, easy technique that you can use at the end of a meditation if you're feeling a bit zoned out. If you have to go back into some kind of action, some kind of daily life, you can do something like that just to get you in the present moment, but you're more you know, focused on sensory perception. And it's also why when I come back from meditation, I spend some time bringing you back, going, okay, so notice everything, but notice everything from this, you know, altered perspective. So it's kind of a phase adjustment. So, and then you could also do the bellows breath. You could do let's inhale, exhale, sharply pull the stomach in quite quickly. And you notice the stomach going in and out. It's called the bellows breath in yoga. That should also bring in quite a lot of energy. You do 30, 40 breaths like that. That should brings in quite a lot of oxygen, or create maybe a bit of a zingy state, and it should pull you out of that deeper state into a more alert kind of presence, still present, but more alert awareness. So those are, you know, a couple of techniques you can use very quickly, just to you know, if you're feeling low energy, either of those techniques can work. You need a bit of a boost. You go, okay, let me just do some breathing, zing myself up. So instead of using stimulants, coffee, and whatever else, you can use your breath, and it's very effective.
Well, water is also energizing, actually, if you just drink water, because we do it in range, and we do it. That's the first thing we do to energize the body, to be energetic. See, you just did it.
Yeah, I just demonstrated. Yeah, so we, you know, these kinds of things, the natural things, you can use to energize you, rather than anything any you know, substances, chemicals. Can all be done naturally. You know, I frequently do all-night sessions when I'm working, because that's just where I'm at the moment, getting this work done. But you know, I don't use anything. It's all natural energy. Do a meditation maybe just to refresh, and then if you do a deep meditation, that's also, you know, it gives you like it's a substitute for sleep. So You tend not to need to sleep as much. And when you do sleep, you sleep deeper because it's rewiring the neural pathways. So you'll tend to slip more easily into an alpha theta state with meditation, which is really helpful. So you can get deeper rest more quickly. So all of this, makes you more effective, makes you more effective and productive in the world. If that's what you're doing, you're working, you need to be on it and engaged in the present moment and effective. So he talks about there's two primary benefits in the article I read, meditation, I thought were quite good. So the first one, zooming in, allows you to focus on what you're doing in the present moment, which is the basis of all skillful action, as the Buddhists call it, and the essence of being in flow. So you can zone in, be really focused, really in the moment, really aware, and that's the flow state. So, and then you can zoom out and you can enter a state that transcends the body, right? To rise above the battleground, as Yeshua calls it. Get a higher perspective on whatever you're experiencing. You go more into being. You're not so much a doing. You may withdraw the senses. In the yogic tradition called pratyahara, it's the fifth pathway of yoga, the fifth limb. You withdraw the senses, and that helps you let go of any negative thoughts and emotions. In other words, forgive. So you can zoom in with meditation and you can zoom out. And you can use techniques that are appropriate to both. And then you've got a range of states available to you naturally, just using meditative and breath techniques that most people don't have access to. And most people try and use chemicals to get into those kinds of states. You don't have to. You can use your breath and meditation. So
Sorry, what do you mean by zooming in and out? I misunderstand this.
Okay, so you can zoom in and you can focus on what you're doing in the present moment. Okay, so you can be very, very aware, very focused, very present. So let's say I'm working, an example I use, so I'm working at night. I'm very focused. I'm just really in the moment and I'm just doing what I'm doing, right? And it's kind of a meditation itself. It's like a meditation practice, the working. It's quite peaceful, it's in flow, it feels good. And, then it produces a high quality result, which is what you receive in these emails and text messages and so on. So that's the one way, and there's no doubt meditation has helped me to do that, to focus for long periods of time, have concentration on one single task, and that's skillful action, that's flow. So the Buddhists, in some of the traditions, they do those mandalas, and they spend days just, coloring the sand and just putting it into these very carefully arranged patterns. So that would be an example of this focused action. And they do it for hours because it's a meditation. It focuses their attention in the moment, doesn't it? There's only that going on then. So that's zooming in, and that's the essence of flow. You're very present, but you're aware. You're aware of what's going on around you, and you're responding to the environment, but in a very kind of calm, peaceful, flowing way. So that's the essence of the flow state. Does that make sense already?
Yeah.
And then the zooming out is what we call being spaced out. So I go into a deeper meditation state where I've kind of risen above the level of sense perceptions, and I've gone deeply into my mind, into an inner experience where there was just an internal reality. I was just becoming aware of my own awareness. I was, usually experiences of peace and joy and bliss, and you're not acting. So it's more towards the revelation end of the spectrum. Revelation is an experience of this pure formless awareness and perfect love. So it's taking you out of above the battleground in there, and then obviously it's a valuable experience. You stay there for a while, you get another perspective. You're in the eternal now moment, but you're not acting. And then you come back out of that. Maybe you need a little phase adjustment. So I suggested some breathing. And then you can be very present. Then you can be in flow, which is what he's training us to do. To be miracle-minded is to be in flow, and let this awareness now come through and direct you in a very conscious, guided, present way to have a happy dream. and then you go back into meditation, you strengthen this, and then you come back down and you flow from this, and this flows into all of your thoughts, words, and actions. And that's the formula for a happy dream, a happy life. And that's why it's a Course in Miracles, not a Course in Revelation. A Course in Revelation would say, well, just go here, zoom out, and stay out. Stay in that transcendent state of, in the East, they call it samadhi, nirvana, total bliss, where you're not able to interact in the world because you're not in sense perceptions. You're just in your inner reality. And, that is a path. There are mystics who've done that. In the East, it's particularly known. Yogis, gurus will sit for days, sometimes weeks in meditation, not engaging. They don't say anything. They're in deep contemplative silence. So that's zooming out. They've totally zoomed out of this reality. And the zoom in would be the miracles, the flow in action. And Yeshu is saying at the moment, zooming in is more useful, but keep doing the zoom out will happen in its own time. If you're practicing his course, you're doing the lessons, you are simultaneous, you are zooming out when you do that. So he's giving us both, and that will help you to be in the world, zoom in, but not be of it. That's the zoom out. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
Any questions on that? No. So, just to summarize, there's some really powerful tools. All of this is possible, and the tools are there. The tools, the techniques are available. I'm showing them to you, giving them to you for you to use ongoing, so that you can become very skillful in the way you live your life. You can zoom in and you can zoom out as appropriate. And if you need to change your state, if you go, look, I'm a bit out of sorts, actually, you know what I need? I need a deep, say, letting go meditation. I need theta meditation. Okay, let me go do that. Or, I actually need to just tune in a bit. I need to be focused now. So let me do a short breath break, or some of the breathing I just showed you, just to focus my attention, get into the now. You choose, whatever you need, whatever state you need, you have a technique that will help you get there. And then that's mastery of life. That's mastering the art of letting go. Can you zoom in when appropriate? Can you zoom out? Because there are times when you need to do this, and there are times when you need to do this, and you need to be guided by your own inner guide, inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, as to what's appropriate when and what to use when. And if you can do this, you have an internal locus of control now. These tools equip you to change your state at will. No one is directing you and saying, well, you're going to feel this way or think this way, because this is what I'm programming you to do. You are your own master. You can change your state accordingly as you choose, which is powerful. Okay, so any questions, comments on any of this teaching? There's some, if you want to dive into that, there's a recorded discussion there for you on that, and an article if you want to go into the references and the science, if you like that kind of thing. 12 science-based benefits of meditation. It's got lots of references in that article that you can go and explore. You can see it, there's a lot of scientific research that backs it up, or you could just go, well, I'll just do it and experience the benefits myself. It's experiential route to meditation. Okay, so that brings us into today's course lesson, which is lesson number 1, and there's an introduction to it. So let's just click on that. So this is going to take, I don't think it's going to take any translation really, because it's actually just practical instruction that he's giving us, and this one's going to need to be translated. So shall we have a little read of this? Just read the introduction. So this is instructions on how to approach the workbook. Certainly part 1. Remember, it's split into 2 parts. part 1 is the majority, 220 lessons, and then the rest from lesson 221 onwards is part 2, and it kind of changes gear a bit when we get to part 2. But this is the instructions for part 1, and then every now and then, like any good coach, he checks in with us. He has a little introduction to the lessons coming up, to say, okay, well, here's where we are in our learning. This is how you do it, and he's coaching us in how we should approach this course. Okay, so let's have a quick read of this, and then we'll go into actually practicing the lesson, discussing it, and then a meditation on it. Okay, so who wants to read number 1, paragraph 1? Okay, I'm gonna volunteer. Orally, maybe? Do you read
I'll
paragraph
read it.
1?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, already. Go ahead.
You can go ahead, Yad, if you want to read it.
I don't mind.
Okay, you read it, Yad. A
I have
theoretical
already
foundation. From
A
there.
theoretical foundation, such as the text provides, is necessary as a framework to make the exercises in this workbook meaningful. It is doing the exercises that will make the goal of the course possible. An untrained mind can accomplish nothing. It's the purpose of this workbook to train your mind to think along the lines the text sets forth.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
It seems self-explanatory to me.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. It's just saying, this is the application of the theory. So the text is theoretical, but this is actually applying it to your daily life and your experiences in every day. So it's doing the exercise will make the goal of the course possible. He's telling you very clearly you need to do the exercises if you want to attain the goal, which is the ultimate letting go of the ego and enlightenment. He's given us both the text and the workbook and the manual for teachers, which is the frequently asked questions, to help us. But the key parts of the course are the text and the workbook. They work hand in glove. This is an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. So if your mind isn't trained, your effectiveness is going to be not great. So the workbook is the training of your mind to think in a certain way. This is mind training. Let's remember that. It's a course in mind training. To think in a certain way, according to a certain thought system based on a fundamental premise that is completely the opposite of the premise that your mind has worked on up to this point. The fundamental premise is oneness, that only oneness is true, only love is true, and that the opposite, separation, is untrue. So it needs some mind training to adopt that fundamental premise and be able to reinterpret your entire reality from that premise, as opposed to the premise of separation. Okay, so happy with number 1. Number 2, orally, if you can read that. The exercises are very simple.
The exercises are very simple. They do not require a great deal of time, and it does not matter where you do them. They need no preparation. The training period is 1 year. And the exercises are numbered from 1 to 365. Do not undertake to do more than one set of exercises a day.
Okay, so again, saying very straightforward.
Yeah,
If you don't
very
need
clear.
preparation, you can just dive into it. It's 1 year, 365 days, 1 a day, and he gives us the specific instruction: don't do more than 1 a day. So I'd listen to him. If you're currently on whatever exercise, lesson 44, or whatever the day is, I'd just reset it and start again at number 1, and work your way through. You'll come around to that, the lessons you're on again, but it will then be just doing the 1 a day as he recommends, and it will all be part of this process. Okay, everyone clear on that? And number 3. Someone else?
Can I do it? The workbook is divided into 2 main sections. The first dealing with the undoing of the way you see now, and the second, the acquisition of true perception. With the exception of the review periods, each day's exercises are planned around one central idea, which is stated first. This is followed by a description of the specific procedures by which the idea of the day is to be applied.
Okay, so just telling us how this is going to work. You all know this if you've studied the workbook before. One key idea. I think the importance of that is you've got one idea to focus on. It's not complicated. It's a few words. It's one sentence. Mostly through the course. When we get to the tail end of it, there's sometimes 2 or 3 in the. But that's really just the last little bit of it. Certainly in the first part 1, one key idea. So you only have to remember one simple idea in the day, and that's important. He wants to keep it simple. If you can remember that idea, and you can use that idea to anchor you in to this higher awareness, then it's very useful. And that's what he's asking us to do with the workbook throughout the day. And then he gives us, these specific exercises, procedures. It's okay, so this is how I want you to think with this idea. This is what you're going to do. You're going to apply it in this way. And so it's mind training. He's telling us to think in certain ways and how to apply the idea. And the 2 main sections, first dealing with the undoing of the way you see now. This is the undoing of your current perception, current interpretations of reality, shall we say. And the second with the acquisition of true perception. So it's letting go of the old and then, focusing on the new thought system and the perceptions that leads to in the second part of it. Okay, number 4, purpose of the workbook. Someone else?
I'll do it again. The purpose of the workbook is to train your mind in a systematic way to a different perception of everyone and everything in the world. The exercises are planned to help you generalize the lessons so that you will understand that each of them is equally applicable to everyone and everything you see.
So anything stand up for you there?
No, but I noticed the last one was harder to read than that one. I'm fascinated how we all get chosen to read certain paragraphs. I wanted to read section 2, part 2, but somebody else got it. It's like I'm trying to work out why I'm reading which one and why it's difficult.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just
train your mind in a systematic way. It's not like, right? It's a systematic mind training process here. Training your mind in a systematic, disciplined way to a different perception of everyone and everything in the world. That's pretty profound, right? So your entire perception is going to change. It's going to transform if you apply this course, if you follow his instructions in the workbook. We plan to help you generalize the lessons so you understand that each lesson is equally applicable to everyone and everything you see. Right? So no exceptions. That's really the key. Don't make exceptions, because the exception is the failure to generalize the lesson. And then you still have another thought system going on in your mind that's telling you there's an exception to truth. So it's generalization we practice so we can generalize these lessons and apply them to all situations, all people, all situations. We don't make exceptions. Equally applicable to everyone and everything you see. And that's simple. Instruction is very simple. You can't say it's not direct, but to actually do that is where you're going to find the challenge. because your mind will want to make exceptions. Oh no, I can't forgive in that instance because whatever you're programming, it says you can't. But actually you can. It's equally applicable to everyone and everything you see, because the truth is true always, and illusions are always false. Okay, so he continues. Transfer of training. Let's ask someone else. Elaine, how about you read that? Number 5, transfer of training.
Transfer of training is true perception, does not proceed as does transfer of the training of the world. If true perception has been achieved in connection with any person, situation, or event, total transfer to everyone and everything is certain. On the other hand, one exception held apart from true perception makes its accomplishments anywhere impossible.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's an all or nothing deal. He's saying, you must do this entirely or not at all. And if you keep an exception going in your mind, then that exception is the contradiction to the truth, which you believe in, and then that contradiction to the truth is going to affect your entire perception. It's going to affect everything going on in your mind. Makes its accomplishments anyway impossible. So it's an all or nothing deal. Ultimately, we must have, there's only one correct perception, one true perception of this world. And we've been trained to stay in that perception and not to make exceptions to it through this course, this mind training process we're about to undertake. Does anyone feel a bit nervous?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, it's like, whoa. This is kind of, systematic mind training to a different perception of everyone and everything in the world. Whoa. Okay.
Because an example today, I was going past a cat colony and there was a black thing, and I know there's some stray cats in there, and I thought, oh, that's a dead cat. And I'm a real cat lover. And I thought, oh, I've got to try and apply this course to this dead cat. But when I got close, it was a black tire.
Right.
But I thought, oh, I'm failing. I'm failing. So this is where
you weren't failing, because you had the awareness to say, I need to apply the lesson. So if that awareness comes in, it's not a failure.
Okay. So it's
cool. Oh,
practice.
You're succeeding. You're actually becoming aware, that you've got to apply. And then, it's a black tire. And you go, well, wasn't that just a misinterpretation? I thought it was a dead cat. I started creating a whole reality in my mind, a story about that, and then actually it wasn't at all. So it's a good little lesson. It's, we get sucked into these perceptual stories that are not reality, and we believe they're reality. And this course is correcting all that, saying, no, don't go down the rabbit hole of the dead cat or whatever the situation is. Each situation that arises in your life is a choice. You have a choice. Am I going to go down the rabbit hole of the ego, or am I going to transcend this and go up above, transcend the battleground and perceive it from my higher awareness? That's the choice. And you always have that choice. Every situation, you've got two ways of interpreting it. So saying, well, be aware of that and choose correctly. And if you feel a bit daunted, it's actually it's quite simple. You just do the lesson every day. And as you do it, the training is happening. He's training you as you do the lessons. And if you do the lessons properly, as he instructs, even if you don't fully understand them, he's saying that doesn't matter. You're getting the benefit. He's designed his course, the workbook, so that if you do the lessons, you will get the benefit. You don't have to worry about the course design. He's designed that. You just have to practice what he's given us.
So my feelings towards the dead cat and the black tire would be exactly the same. Is that right? Or even though my feelings...
Nothing real. You see a dead cat and you see a black tire. If it's all illusion, none of it's real, then why would it make a difference?
Right. So I've got much training to do.
Yeah, because you have now an attachment to the form of the dead cat, and there's an interpretation. Oh, I'm a cat lover. You see, self-concept. I'm a cat lover. I'm a real cat lover. Are you really? Do you see the self-definition, the self-concept that came in?
Yeah.
I'm a real cat lover. Okay, so you made that real.
Yeah.
To yourself. No, you're not really a real cat lover. You're pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's what you are, in truth, which is beyond loving any form.
But you would still do the necessary to pick the cat up and dispose of the
but
body.
you see, you wouldn't do it from a special place. Oh, I'm a cat lover, so I love cats, but I don't like dogs so much. So maybe I won't do it for dogs, but I'll do it for cats. Or you don't have that specialness anymore. You're like, well, there's a creature in need. It is me in another form. It's coming from the same awareness. I recognize that I am one with it, and from that perspective, I do the loving, kind thing because I'm really helping myself. Whatever I give, I receive. That. So then you're not doing it from the special program of Elaine the cat lover. You're doing it from the transcendent state of higher awareness that actually the cat and everything is one with you. The cat no more so than any other living thing. And ultimately, even the distinction between animate and inanimate, so-called living and not. Well, if it's all illusion, does it matter? You see it everywhere. You are rooted in one singular, timeless awareness. That's where he's pointing us to, which is the very essence of your life, your being, and you never depart from that awareness. You stay rooted in that awareness, no matter what comes to you in the sensory realm. So all the perceptions and so on, it's all illusion, right? It's Maya. It's smoke and mirrors. It's images being projected out and perceived, and there's a whole movie going on in your mind. And beyond that is pure formless awareness that's not affected by any of it. So you approach the cat situation, you were, well, it's whether it was a tire or whether it was a dead cat would have made no difference. Because what I'm seeing is unreal.
But if it needed care, then obviously I would do the necessary to do the care for it. If it had been injured.
That wouldn't affect you at the highest level. You wouldn't be affected mentally and emotionally. You wouldn't go, oh, poor cat, and I feel sad, and now my higher awareness gets taken down into some kind of shame, and this is terrible, and he's been hurt, or he's, and then you make all of that real in your mind, you see.
Right.
So you can still act from a place of loving kindness without going into that negative emotional state.
Right.
In fact, you argue the only way you can really act with loving kindness is if you do that. Is if you stay in that higher state.
Do what's necessary for the cat if it's still alive.
And then you get the direction from spirit, and it says, okay, we'll take the cat to the vet, we'll take it home and feed it, and you're not in charge. Not your programming in charge anymore. It's not Elaine in charge. It's the spirit. Okay, I'm just going to direct you exactly what you need to do to be truly helpful. Remember the miracle workers pray. Let me be truly helpful in the situation to all concerned. So how can I be truly helpful to the cat? Okay. And then you let it direct accordingly, and you may act differently. If someone is acting from their separate self, they may be freaking out. Oh my God, this is terrible. Don't know what to do. Get into panic. I'm going to find the vet. All of that, getting emotionally turbulent. That's not going to be the most effective action that's going to come out of it. But if you calm and you're like, okay, so very calm. I'm not really affected by this. Okay, well, you assess it clearly. It seems like the cat needs to be taken, so I can take the cat. I'll come and get my car. I'll take it to the vet. And you're very calm about it. You're not emotionally moved, because if you're emotionally moved by these kinds of situations, and the ego knows that, then it's gonna keep bringing that up. Be like, oh, that one really worked. Dead cats really pushes their buttons. Okay, great. So now we'll bring in more dead cats or dead animals. That's how I go. And my wife said she had a huge, she was an animal lover, and she kept seeing roadkill. So it was just like, it was freaking out because she kept seeing animals killed, and then she, oh my God, it's terrible. And so the more she did that, she energized the reaction to it.
That's true, yes.
The more it happened, the more she
Mm.
saw the roadkill, because that was the pattern then the ego had established.
That's what
And then
happens
she
to
had,
me as well.
yeah, and then she had to realize, no, this isn't serving me. You know, I have to zone out of this. I have to detach from this, not make it so real in my perception, not allow the emotions to get going. And when she did, and she found that higher awareness, she was doing some Buddhist practice to help her, then it stopped. She didn't see the roadkills anymore. So the reality, you know, adjusted accordingly. Yeah. So if you have a special attachment to like nature and animals, then the ego is going to use that to get to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, oh, animal dying, oh, that's so sad. Oh, and then you go to the sadness. Well, do you need to do that?
No.
Oh, well, it's your choice. You can do it if you want, but this is saying no, you don't, because that is false awareness. Any acknowledgement of suffering and death is acknowledging the ego. So now you're in the ego's grip, and you will suffer accordingly. The more you energize that, the more that becomes your chosen reality. The more you amplify it, you get stuck in a state of suffering, and then you can spend your life going, oh, the world's so cruel and so terrible, and everyone suffers and everyone dies. I'm very depressed, and then you miss the true awareness that's always there. You know, life goes on. Life, the essence of life, is always there. You know, you can see it in the animals. You can see that rather than see the death and the suffering. What do you choose to see? And this is the training. So I'll train you to see only the true, only what is true, and ignore the false, and not make exceptions. And then you see how this deconstructs your ego, because Elaine the cat lover has to go. You can't keep Elaine the cat lover and also be in pure formless awareness.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So that's why you might feel nervous, because like, oh, you know, that identity, the self-concept has to be undone during this process. Okay, so number 6, Lynn, how about you read that for us? The only general rules.
The only general rules to be observed throughout then are, first, that the exercises be practiced with great specificity.
That's a hard one, isn't it?
Jesus.
Specificity. You have to say it slowly. Specificity.
As would be indicated. This will help you to generalize the ideas involved to every situation in which you find yourself, and to everyone and everything in it. Number 3, second, be sure that you do not decide for yourself that there are some people, situations, or things. Oh dear, so funny how we read these things. Situations or things to which the ideas are inapplicable, because apparently I compartmentalize things like that.
We all do.
Yeah,
we all do.
Okay. Phew. This will interfere with transfer of training. The very nature of true perception is that it has no limits. Number 6, it is the opposite of the way you see now.
Okay, so does that make sense?
Yeah, let me just, there was something that didn't, practicing, yeah.
So it's saying 2 general rules, right? Just practice as directed. He's giving you specific instructions, so follow them. Just do it. It's paint by numbers exercise. Connect the dots. Okay,
Yeah.
This is what you're going to do. Just do it. You know, don't question the design of the course. And he's a spiritual master. He knows exactly what you need to unwind your mind much better than you do. So, you know, you accept the guidance. So, okay, I don't actually know how to do this. Otherwise, I would have done it already. It's self-evident, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could have freed yourself using your own ways, and you would have,
Yeah.
but you haven't. So, okay, your way hasn't worked. You humble yourself. I think it was John yesterday who brought in humility. Someone brought in humility. And you humble yourself. You say, okay, I'm open to instruction. You guide me. I'll listen to instructions. I'll follow the instructions, because I don't really know how to do this, and you do, because he's done it and we haven't. He's escaped using exactly this methodology that he's teaching us. So, okay, follow someone who's done it. And secondly, be sure that you do not decide for yourself that there are some people, situations, or things to which the ideas are inapplicable. So you make an exception. That interferes with the transfer of training. Well, no, I can't do it in that. I'm very attached to my photography or my wildlife or whatever, so no, I can't apply it there, because that feels like it's special. It's different,
Yeah.
So then you've made an exception, and that is exactly where your ego will camp out and go, oh, okay, great. So he's got an exception there. So we'll identify with that, and we'll make that part of our self-concept, and we'll keep that as our little fortress against the truth.
I think it tends to be something that I see as really negative or really wrong in my mind. They're the things that I separate, compartmentalize, and find it harder to apply the same rules.
Yeah. So it's by your opposition, you make it real.
Yeah.
And then in your mind, it creates a disturbance. There's a split in your mind. It's like it disturbs your peace, doesn't it? When you do that, you've got a resistance going on. It's an aversion reaction. My peace is disturbed, and you've made it real, which doesn't serve you, because now you've made a state that is not pure formless awareness, perfect love, real, and that becomes your state instead of the pure formless awareness that you could have. So in the end, it's very practical. It's like you do this not because you're so good or pure or holy, or Yeshua's telling you to do it, or you want to be a good course student, or any of that. You do it because, number one, it's the truth. That's how it is. And then secondly, you choose peace of mind. You say, I want to be peaceful above all else. And this will work. This will bring me peace. And I value that over anything else.
Yeah, the animal wildlife things, that's so relevant to me, because I really used to suffer a lot, and then it becomes a cycle, because now I realize it was actually a really good way to gauge how I was feeling and thinking at those times when I would see roadkill after roadkill. I mean, even a woodpecker. I mean, who sees a dead woodpecker in the road? It's bizarre. So when I was seeing that much, and then pretty sure it was a conversation with Sally, and it just turned it around for me. I as soon as I stopped focusing on suffering, I saw less suffering. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But because that's my love, that's my big love, animals, nature. That is literally where it would be apart from my relationship.
Well, that's special. That's a special love, isn't it? That's what the course would call special love, because you want that's more special than anything else.
Yeah.
So now I've got a self-concept attached to that thing, and then I suffer accordingly. The more special your love is, the more you suffer as you experience. So it's not really love. It's not the transcendent. Remember, unconditional is no conditions, right? So there's no condition for your love. It's everywhere. It's the awareness that underlies everything. It's complete. It's whole. So you don't separate things out, because if it's unconditional, there are no conditions for it. The love of God is given freely to everything and everyone. It's the very essence of that being's life. The very essence of your awareness is the love that you yearn for, that you're seeking somewhere outside of you in special love, but it's actually right there in your own awareness right now.
Yeah.
Which is extraordinary. We think we're seeking and seeking outside and never finding, but actually it's right there. Just have to drop into it and become aware of it.
Yeah, it's just that not feeling it, isn't it? There's a problem.
Right, because there's a veil of illusion that's covered your mind. So you've got all kinds of thoughts and emotions and a self-concept that underpins all this stuff. Look at an instrument for peace,
It's easier to access now at times, but it really wasn't a few years ago.
Well, and that's mind training. You've done some work, haven't you? Spiritual work, meditation, you've been with Sally. So it then upgrades you, and you find it easier because you've taken away some of the veils.
Yeah.
So these veils, perception, emotion, thought, belief, are the covering over your pure formless awareness.
Yeah.
And these are the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Yeshua talks about in the introduction. He's saying, well, you know, you must remove these. It's the only way. You've got to uncover them, remove the veils, and then what will remain is your authentic self. And what does that is mind training, you know, forgiveness, combining forgiveness with meditation and breath work. Very, very powerful. That's kind of the approach in this course. You're going to do breath work and meditation on the lessons. So you're getting the mind training at the same time as going into an altered state through the breath work and meditation. So then you experience the lesson on a deeper level because of that. And so it goes in, it's like going through the defenses and programming on a deeper level. Getting you want to get to the core of your mind, where your true awareness resides, and that's the level where your mind changes. You go, I choose that, and it becomes an experiential choice, not conceptual. It's like, oh, I choose it, I feel it, I feel the peace. I'm connecting with that, I feel the awareness, and then, you know, this kind of naturally transforms. You stay rooted in that awareness, and belief, thought, emotion, perception changes. Has to, because that awareness just naturally undoes false beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. And yeah, the workbook is where the rubber meets the road. This is, you know, the actual practical work. It's all very well theoretically. You've got to let go, let God, you know the theory, surrender everything, let it all go. How do you actually do that? Well, this course is quite unique in that he's given us the way. He's given us a disciplined, systematic mind training process to do that over a 1 year period. Well thought out, well thought through, that integrates with the theory. So you see the parallels, you know, it's the same thought system, it's just it's the application. So it's where the rubber meets the road. If you just did the theory text, then the workbook wouldn't you wouldn't get the same kind of shift. And if you just do the workbook without the theoretical foundation, then you're often missing the theoretical underpinnings, which is to understand the metaphysics that help you to forgive, that help you to let go. So the two work, you know, hand in glove.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why we do both. This year, I mean, the next 5 weeks, we're going to do both. But after that, if you continue with the program, we're going to focus on the text. And the workbook, the lessons are there. I'm going to give you the meditations. I'm going to give you recordings. You can go and, you know, do that on your own. And then the following year, we'll switch it, and we'll switch the focus back to the workbook, because otherwise it's just too much. I mean, could anyone do 2 sessions a day sustainably, ongoing? I'm not sure. You know, like that's the way you live. You do 2 sessions, probably not. It becomes too much. You're going to be doing like 5-6 hours a day regularly. So for a 6-week period, yeah, let's immerse. Let's try and do that. But probably most people won't do 2 sessions anyway. But ongoing, we're going to switch the focus year to year. That was Sally's idea, actually, which I think is an excellent idea. Okay, where are we? Introduction. Are we? There we go. So number 7, and I'm going to read number 7.
The overall aim of the exercises is to increase your ability to extend the ideas. You will be practicing to include everything. This will require no effort on your part. The exercises themselves meet the conditions necessary for this kind of transfer.
Yeah, makes sense. Increase your ability to extend ideas to include everything. Okay? So it's this extending ideas apply to everything. Let me extend it into all aspects of my perception. And this will require no effort on your part. The exercises themselves meet the conditions necessary for this kind of transfer. Okay, so in other words, you do the exercises, he's designed it that way. You do the exercises as instructed, and it will happen naturally, which is great. You know, so you just, okay, well, show me. You know, you humble yourself. You say, okay, I'm not in charge of this process. Yeshua is, the Holy Spirit is, and I've just got to do what I'm told. It's quite simple. There's there's a great scene in the Forrest Gump. You recall when he's in the army, and the sergeant major says, "What is your only purpose, Gump?" And he says, "To do exactly what you tell me, Sergeant Major." He says, "Jesus, Gump, you're a goddamn genius." Well, apply that to the Holy Spirit. Just if the Holy Spirit or the Christ mind is the Sergeant Major, it's your purpose is to do what it tells you. It's very simple. That's all, and then the result will come. Everything follows from that if you follow the guidance. So it's which voice you're going to listen to. The tyrannical drill sergeant of the ego, or the gentle, loving guidance of the Holy Spirit. But the one can be very harsh, judgmental, controlling, but the other one has this kind of deep, subtle power, doesn't it? It's actually more powerful because it doesn't go away. It's just kind of always there, just reminding you. So you're strengthening that voice, and you're weakening the tyrannical drill sergeant's voice in your mind. And as you go, you'll find there's a conflict. It's not always easy because those two voices arise, and the ego tries to come back and control. And so expect the resistance. That's normal, part of the awakening process, the hero's journey. But the exercises are designed to help you to overcome that resistance by practicing the exercises and applying the lesson. That's exactly what you need to do to overcome any resistance. To require no effort on your part. So he's not saying you don't have to do anything. He's just saying the design of it. You don't have to worry about the design of the course. So, the design's been handled for you, which is quite useful to know. Just do it, essentially. So just do it. Follow my guidance, and you'll see the results will by their fruits you shall know them. You'll see for yourself what the results are. That you're on the right track. Those are the miracles. Okay, so happy with number 7. Moving swiftly on then to number 8. Who else? Let's ask Christine, maybe. Would you like to read, Christine?
I can't read because I'm working from my iPhone and I can't see the text.
Okay, so someone else then. Or is on her phone. Yeah, Elaine, Sally and Jackie off the call. I think they are actually. Let's ask Elaine to read again. Elaine, can you read number 8?
Some of the ideas the workbook presents you will find hard to believe, and others may seem to be quite startling. This does not matter. You are merely asked to apply the ideas as you are directed to do. You are not asked to judge them at all. You are asked only to use them. It is their use that will give them the meaning to you and will show you that they are true.
Okay, some thoughts on that?
There's nothing for you to do but be guided.
Oh. So you might have resistance, find it hard to believe ideas. You might have resistance in any form. You seem to be quite starting. No, it can't mean that. It doesn't matter. You're merely asked to apply the ideas as you're directed to do. Okay? So you just follow the instructions. They're very specific. You apply it. You think the thoughts that he's giving you. You apply the exercise, and I made it even easier because I'm going to guide you through it in little breath breaks. So you just put the recording on and don't even have to read the lesson. You just listen and follow my instructions. So really reading the course, taking you into a different state. You have to use a bit of breath work, and you do the exercise, and you're applying the lesson. You're using it as directed. And when you do that, as I said, connect the dots, paint by numbers exercise, then you use them, and you will see by their effects that these are meaningful, that actually something's happening, and they must be true because of the effects that are showing up. Will show you that they are true. Okay. Number 8, happy.
Yeah.
So number 9, let's ask Lynn or Susie to read that.
Number 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember only this: you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept them, and you need not even welcome them. Some of them you may actively resist. None of this will matter or decrease their efficacy, but do not allow yourself to make exceptions in applying the ideas the workbook contains. And whatever your reactions to the ideas may be, use them. Nothing more than that is required. That's really good to read because of the bits that blow my mind at the moment. You know,
Yeah.
I keep hoping that the certain bits will have less resistance for me. That makes me feel better reading that, because some of it's just too hard for me at the moment.
So just apply the idea. You're saying, okay, well, just think the thought, go through the exercise, apply it, irrespective of what you're feeling, whatever your reactions are to that idea, use them as part of the exercise. Okay, I'm feeling the resistance. Okay, well, I can be aware of that, and I can apply the idea to the resistance. Nothing more than that is required. So that's the way you get through your resistance. You just keep working at it, keep doing it. You know, the Nike saying is very appropriate. Just do it. Do the workbook, do the lessons, practice as directed, do them many times in the day as he directs. If you can stay on that schedule, brilliant. It's okay. You know, if you miss a few, we all do. If you're practicing every day, you're training your mind systematically into another way of thinking, a new perception of everything and everyone. So it's a profound, I mean, what you're undertaking is profound. I mean, this is like totally life-changing. And you know, that's the value of the workbook. It's actually going to be where the rubber meets the road of applying these ideas and actually living this. You know, how do you live this truth? That it actually has transformed your thoughts, your emotions, your perceptions, your words, your actions. It's transformed everything, because it all comes from how you interpret it. It comes from your perception, doesn't it? Which comes from your fundamental belief system. So it's the application into, you know, this domain of the world that needs to be trained, and that's what the workbook's doing. And as I said, you know, this course is quite unique. I don't know of another spiritual path that has this kind of disciplined, detailed, systematic, structured mind training process. You know, a lesson every day for 1 year, and then that's a program you can repeat. You know, I've been doing it for 17 years. Just keep cycling, because after a year you can easily go back to another, you know, back to square one, and you've forgotten that lesson. It's current. So then you come back and it's like reading it for the first time again. So,
You see it differently as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the other things you've learned, you can see things so differently, can't you?
Yeah, you definitely, you know, you see it as you are, not as it is. So how you interpret the lessons in the course will evolve as you grow. And if you keep on this track, you know, you will see things, perceive things that you missed before. You know, I've been over these lessons many times, like, you know, every year for 17 years. It's like 17 times at least, and probably in between some other times we've referred to them and so on. And yet every time I read it, it's got something there. It's fresh, because it's a perennial philosophy. You know, you're accessing what's true. It's the eternal truth. So it has this kind of fresh, evergreen quality. So it reveals these deeper levels of significance as you journey through it, because it's revealing more of yourself. You know, and that's the sign of a profound teaching. It's got these deeper levels of significance. Well, the course certainly has that in spades. You know, the more you go into it, the deeper you go, the more it reveals itself. So you can never really get bored. You go, oh well, I've done lesson 1 already 5 times, so no, I'm bored of it now. Okay, well, just do it again. Apply the exercise and see what experience you get this time. And it might be, you know, different from the previous. You probably don't even remember what your experience was the previous year. So in the moment, you have the experience that is designed to facilitate, and you train your mind again. Okay, well, yeah, I can see, you know, nothing I see means anything. I remind myself of the first 7 lessons every day. Nothing I see means anything. Given everything I see, all the meaning has for me. I won't jump ahead. There's 7, because it's like the foundation of the thought system. If you can apply those 7 lessons, then you're pretty much applying the course. So you can use it. You know, you can use it in these ways, and as you do it, you become more familiar with it. You see the power of it. You see how it has actually changed your mind.
Yeah.
And it's subtle, you know, just by degrees, you'll shift. And then in a year's time, you go, wow, actually, I am quite different. I'm perceiving things differently. I didn't really notice because it was subtle day by day, these little gradual shifts. So, you know, but in a year, you can notice quite a big change.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the introduction. Any comments, feedback, questions on that? Otherwise, we're going to dive into our lesson for today, which is Workbook lesson 1. Here we go. So start 365 lessons. We'll read it. So let's read the text. Very simple. Have to leave. Okay, Christine, can catch up with the recording. Read it and discuss it briefly. There's not much to discuss, and then I'll guide you through it in a little meditation. Okay, so who would like to read the nothing I see means in this room?
Nothing I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, means anything.
Oh, so just sit with that for a bit. Nothing I see means anything. Well, so now look around and just practice applying this idea very specifically to whatever you see. So look at a table. Say this table does not mean anything. And just breathe as you do this. Breathing in, breathing out. In and out through your nose. So you've got this kind of nice, relaxed breath going on. It's the background to the exercise. And look at a chair. So this chair does not mean anything. And look at your hand. Or my hand. So this hand doesn't mean anything. Look at your foot. This foot doesn't mean anything. Look at a pen or a pencil, any object on the table. So this pen or whatever it is does not mean anything. So just keep breathing, nice deep slow breaths. Out through your nose. So that creates a field of awareness within which you're now observing. So you're being the pure witness here. It takes you into the witnessing presence, your higher awareness. So then look further away from your immediate area. Apply the idea to a wider range. That door does not mean anything. This body, look at your own body. Look at the bodies on the call. Any bodies in the room. So that body does not mean anything. Look at a lamp. That lamp does not mean anything. That mirror does not mean anything. That shadow, if you see a shadow, it does not mean anything. And it's applied indiscriminately to whatever you see. So Yeshua says, notice these statements are not arranged in any order. I make no allowance for differences, kinds of things to which they are applied. Right, so there's no difference in your perception of anything, whether it's animate or inanimate, a body seemingly living, or inanimate object. It's just showing you that you treat it all the same. Nothing I see means anything. So that's the purpose of the exercise. To show you that there's no order. Statements should merely be applied to anything you see. You practice the idea for the day, use it totally indiscriminately. So don't attempt to apply it to everything you see. So these exercises shouldn't become ritualistic. So just select a few things. Be sure that nothing you see is specifically excluded. One thing is like another, as far as the application of the idea is concerned. One thing is like another. Exactly the same, whether it's a lamp, a body, a door, a pen, a foot. What he's training us to see is that there's a singular awareness. There's one awareness that is aware of all this, that is unchangeable, doesn't change, irrespective of what you think you're perceiving. And he's saying don't do this more than twice a day. So we practiced it once this morning, and this is your second practice. You're done. Very simple exercise, just to start getting us into this mind training process. But he leads in with the big one. Leads in with nothing I see means anything. So he's going straight into the heart of the illusion, which is meaning. Right? So everything has the meaning that we give it. So if you could apply lesson number 1 perfectly, you would be perfectly enlightened. Nothing I see means anything. You wouldn't be giving false meaning to anything. He's saying don't do them more than twice a day. Don't do them for more than a minute or so. As that entails a sense of hurry. So just leisurely look around, go into your high awareness, spend a minute, 2 minutes, maybe if you need to. And that's not a big deal. So he's asking for maybe a couple of minutes of your time in the day to start with. Just trying to get you into this new habit of doing the mind training. Okay, so any thoughts on that? We've just done the exercise. Anything come up for you? Any questions about it? Anything you don't understand?
Seems pretty easy, doesn't it? But it's complex because of the conditioning.
Yeah, he's undoing all of your past conditioning here.
Mm.
Simple statements, nothing I see means anything. Okay, this table doesn't mean anything. What gives it its meaning is your past conditioning. You know that tables have been around since you were a young child. You noticed them. You learned what they were for. Tables are to sit at, to eat on, to put things on, to work at. So you have an existing meaning. Now he's trying to clean your mind and say, well, actually, it doesn't mean anything. That meaning that you've given it is all perceptual. It's all within the domain of time and space. It's all part of the construct of the ego. So on the level of form, a table's a useful thing. At a table, wouldn't be able to sit, have a conversation with a laptop on it, useful, functional, but does it really mean anything in truth? No, it only means something in the domain of time and space.
So you look at the table the same as you would look at your husband or your baby or something that you really love.
Oh, that body does. Well, that's why it includes the body, doesn't it? Hand,
So the-
foot, body.
So the
Because
baby
your
or the
husband
family.
is not a body, is he? Your husband isn't really a body.
No.
So that body that he seems to have doesn't mean anything. That's not your husband.
No. No.
It's an illusion. It's a
When I look at him,
body
I look at
appearing
him.
in the dream.
So you look at him as just the same as a table or a
Because it's the awareness, the pure formless awareness that's perceiving the table is the same awareness that's perceiving him. And that awareness perceives itself. That awareness can only perceive itself. So then you see that he's not really a body, and he's not subject to whatever the conditions of the body are, and aging and decay and dementia and prone to drink too much and all of that. It's not that. It's, I see from my awareness that he is that awareness. Namaste. I see you as I am. I see in you what is in me. That's what it's acknowledging, So I've cleaned my mind of all these false ideas. He's not a body. He's not, therefore, if he's not a body, then his behavior in the body really doesn't matter, does it?
No.
See that? Doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what he does in the body. He's not a body. So why am I judging the behavior? His body doesn't really mean anything. So then I stay in my higher awareness. Same awareness, remember, unchanging awareness. That's what higher awareness is. Pure formless awareness doesn't change. So whether I see a table or whether I see a body, that I supposedly love that body, this is my husband, doesn't really matter to that awareness. It's the same awareness. It's unchanging and unchangeable. So that's what you're training your mind in starting to understand and experience through this exercise. And you notice in the meditations, when we come out of the meditations, that I always do a similar exercise, don't I? Say, okay, look around. Look at whatever it is, specific object. And just don't interpret it, don't judge it, don't name it. Just perceive it from this place of awareness. And
So
then
what
look at
about
another object, and you
the
see it's the
things that-
same awareness, perceiving.
Yeah. What about the ones with the pleasure, like, a puppy or a baby that, give you great pleasure, when you look at them? It's hard to see them as a table.
But what is the awareness that's perceiving them? Who's perceiving them? See?
Right.
Who's perceiving? That's the question.
Right. It's either the ego or the,
Well, the special self, Elaine, that really loves babies and puppies, there's a self-concept there, isn't it? Why do you especially love babies and puppies and not other things?
Yeah.
So there's a specialness there, and if that's marked, if that's quite deep, then that's an attachment. It's going to hurt you, because then, of course, all form dies. So babies die, babies grow up, puppies grow up, and then the puppy's no longer. Everything fades away, is undone. Puppy, in 10 or 15 years' time will be a dead dog.
Yeah.
So then you feel sad because you're attached to the form. But if you remain in your true awareness, there's no sadness because you don't recognize the reality of the form. So it's quite mind-blowing. I mean, I won't say anything else. It's mind-blowing. You're going to blow the ego's mind away, which is the idea that you're a separate self who's perceiving all of these separate things, and you have all these special reactions to the separate things that you perceive. Oh, well, puppies, I get really sad, but if a human being dies, well, that's okay. I don't really mind too much because humans are sinful and guilty and I deserve to be punished, or whatever. These are the kind of ideas that we've got to undo. It's all part of the ego's construct of separation, differences, specialness, and these simple exercises take you in to a state of mind that's beyond that, just by looking at a table differently, or a body, whatever it is. It's powerful. It's mind training par excellence. And when you go into that state, did you feel, okay, it's really the same? I'm looking at a table, I'm looking at a chair, I'm looking at a body. I'm actually in the same state of awareness. Nothing's really changed. Did anyone have that experience?
For the moment, you can have that experience. For the moment.
Well, that's all he's asking us for. Don't get ahead of the game. He's saying, okay, for that moment, while you're practicing, have the experience. Then let it go. You're only asking us to do a minute. Okay, easy. And then, because it's progression. He's not going to say, okay, day one, we're going into like a heavy half an hour meditation. He's just trying to build us up and say, okay, let's just start basically, just a easy, simple exercise to get you into it. No big deal. Do it for a minute or two, twice a day, and you're done. And then, as we go, he asks for more, but that's part of the mind training. So slowly, gently, but profound. If you really went into this exercise, you can experience an enlightened state from this exercise. Just I'm resting in my true awareness, and nothing I see really means anything. So I'm not affected by it. So I'm in a transcendent state. And that's the start of the mind training. And interesting, he starts with meaning. The first 10 to 15 lessons are all about meaning in the course, mostly. Because he knows that's the domain of the ego. The meaning you have assigned to things is integrally connected to your self-concept. So you define yourself as Elaine, even said, I'm a real pet lover, I'm a real cat lover. So there's a self-concept there. You define yourself as that, and then the meaning you give, what you perceive, follows from that. You see that? So it's undoing that. So you've got to undo the self-concept. I'm a real cat lover. No, I'm not a cat lover. I am that I am. I am pure, formless awareness of perfect love. And that's all I am. That's what you're saying when you practice these exercises. And you're saying that not just in words, but you're saying that experientially. In your experience, you start experiencing this awareness. So it's experiential knowing that's going to get you there, not theoretical understanding alone. Okay, so that's lesson 1. Any other comments, questions on that? How are we doing on time? 10:34. If you want to do the 6th pathway, we can leave that. We can go into a little meditation if you like. I don't mind doing a I am, Cece's request. You can do the I am breathing meditation now for about 20 minutes if you want. Close out the session. How does that sound?
Yep.
Anyone up for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So all right, so let's just get comfortable, sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, so breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And a subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Blowing the stomach up like a balloon. Just clenching the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Just draw the energy up the spine into your heart center. Just putting one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. drawing the energy up into the crown of your head, pausing, scan your mind, just going to let go of anything that's in there, anything disturbing. Just kind of reset as the start of our meditations to connect in, clear the space, so just let it all go, blow it all away. It's the breeze of your breath to the nothingness that it really is. It's gone. Almost stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is some sort of variable speed breathing with the IM. So it's long, slow, deep inhale, and I'll say I on the inhale and M on the exhale. So you breathe in, so it starts, and then we're going to do medium speed and then fast. And I'll use the I am to help you to pace it. So I on the inhale, breathing in, and then you exhale on the M. And it's always in and out through the nose, diaphragmatic breath. So make sure your back straight, comfortable. So breathe in, I, and exhale out through the nose. If you like, you can do the little jai sounds, kind of a sighing sound in the back of your throat. Did that breath last week. Make the jai sound. It's quite relaxing, sounds quite meditative. So breathing in again, I, and M. Exhale on the M. I, M. I, M. I, M. I, M. I, M. I breathe in through the nose. M, just let it flow out through the nose. Make the sighing sound if you need to. Smoothly into the next inhale, so it's kind of connected. The inhale leads to the next exhale, flows into it, and then the exhale leads to the next inhale. I am. I am. And I am. I am. I am. I am. And I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. And I am. So now I'm a bit faster, speed it up a bit. So remember, inhale on the I, exhale out, in and out through your nose on the M. So breathing in, I am, exhale out, I am, 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 I am. Keep saying that. Let the words and the breath take you deeper into this deeper state of connection with the I am presence. I am. 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 So now quite fast. So we're going to do I am, I am, I am. Breathe like that. We'll do 40 breaths like that. So I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. Let's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. And one more round. I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, and I am. And we move back into the slow breath. Just gonna pause briefly. Ask anyone if they've got any questions. Any is it okay? You okay with the form, everyone? Any questions? Or are you happy to just continue and go into the next round? We're going to do another 2 rounds of this.
Yeah.
Everyone okay to continue? Okay.
Yeah.
So slow breathing in on the I and am on the exhale. Inhale I, exhale am. Inhale I, exhale am. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. And I am. 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 And I am. And then just go into the medium breath. So I am. I am. I am. And I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. Let's get into a nice rhythm. Slightly faster. I am. 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 And I am. And now much faster. So I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. 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 And I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, and I am that I am. Second cycle finish. We go back into the slow breathing. So breathe in on I. As the stomach rise, the chest rise. And then on the exhale, am. Say it in your mind. And exhale. Air flows out. Inhale, stomach rises, chest rises. I am. Exhale. Firm your true nature and your being. So it's an inhale, embracing, and then a letting go. To affirm the reality of this I am presence. I am. 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 And I am. 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 And I am. And then a bit faster. So I am. 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 And I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. And now last quick one. Leave 40 of those. So I am. 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 Very fast, in and out through the nose. I am. 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 And one more set. I am. I am. I am. I am. And I am. I am. I am. I am. And I am. And I am. And so now just do 12 rhythmical breaths in and out through your nose. Slow rhythm. I am. 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 And final one, make the longest, slowest breath. Say I am. Feel that connection, your heart. Fuse every cell, every muscle of your body with this I am presence. And you confirm it in the exhale. That I am. Say I am that I am. Right now, you're affirming the truth of your being. It's the very essence of who you are. The I am presence. So you're just going to sit or preferably lie down if you can. Still listen to me. Just for 5 to 10 minutes. Finish it. So if you're lying down, do it so that palms are facing upwards, feet slightly apart. Just relax. Let the floor or the bed support you. Put a little cushion on your head if you want to raise your head up a bit. And you're just going to, or if you're sitting, just sit comfortably on the chair. And you're just going to go into normal breathing. It's normal Nasal diaphragmatic breathing in and out through your nose. And you just kind of watch the breath for a bit. Observing. And with each breath, you get more and more relaxed, sinking inwards and very deeply into this calm, peaceful, quiet state. This is where the I am presence delivers you to. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into this presence and accept you, welcome you. It's like if you're lying down, you can just sink into it. Sitting up, just mentally relax. It's deeply relaxing and healing. Letting go of all stress, tension. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still. Surrender into the stillness, quietness. Just rest there for a few moments. Being aware of the breath. Be aware of body sensations. Don't attach to any of those. Just allow it all to be temporary, arising and passing away. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Yeah, so just gently coming back. This deep state. Lying down, stay there for a bit. Bring yourself back into an awareness, maybe with more of the body, breath, the senses, and on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing the breath, maybe for a while you slipped out of breath awareness, bring yourself back into that. Helps you ground back into the body. Notice the stomach rise, the chest rise, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, just scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, emotions, notice body sensations going on. Maybe it's just very clear, light, aware, peaceful. Acknowledge that, appreciate that if that's the case. If there's anything that's still lurking there that's not peaceful and calm, then notice it and choose to let it go. Remind yourself it doesn't really mean anything, whatever's causing that disturbance. Say nothing I see means anything in the situation. So you blow it away with the breeze of your breath. Exhale. Let it all go. Nothing still really is. Going, gone. Stomach into the spine to expel it all out. On the count of 2, just rest for a while in the gap between inhale and exhale. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair if you're sitting, or if you're still lying down, to the floor or the bed. Notice what you're feeling with your body touching. There's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Notice that as you breathe in. Notice what you're hearing and the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. So you come into awareness of all your senses, but from this higher perspective, the same awareness you had when you did the exercise. I think ACIM means anything. It's that awareness. It's just able to be aware, the witnessing presence without interpreting, naming, judging, labeling. Stay rooted in that higher awareness. You're going to carry this awareness with you into the rest of your afternoon and evening. So it is. So it's said. So it is done. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just look around. Take a minute to readjust. And, why not practice one more time as you're doing that? Slowly look around you. Perfect opportunity to practice the mind training one more time. And say this table, if you look at a table, this wall, this chair, whatever object your eyes happen to rest on, does not mean anything. And move on to something else. Do the same thing. Do that for maybe half a dozen objects. Notice how you're feeling as you do that. It's really, it's the same awareness, always perceiving. Nothing really changes, whether it seems to be a table or a chair or a person, a body. It's the same awareness, just very calm, very peaceful. It feels good to be in this awareness. Notice that the more you notice it, the more you anchor the state in, and you're telling your mind that this is your preferred state. It's the way you make it your new default state of mind, as opposed to the alternatives that you will present. So that brings us to the end of the meditation, breathing exercise. And I think of the session, we didn't do the pathways, but we'll do the next pathway, the 6th pathway tomorrow. I think that's a wrap for this session. The next one is starting in just under an hour at 5 p.m. UK time. That's 6 p.m. your time, or early 7 p.m. South African time. So if you'd like to do the text reading today, which is, I'll give you a little quick preview of that. Section 1, Chapter 2, the separation and the atonement, or the one-ment. we're going to be covering that, and it's not too long. It's only 5 paragraphs, so should be able to cover that in a couple of hours. So hope to hope to see you all then. Join us then in an hour or so if you can. Otherwise, tomorrow same time, 12:30 UK time, another session. And just try and practice this lesson one more time using the breath break that I've sent you. It's in the Telegram group and also on your email. And I'll send you another one. I've got a second breath break. Reminds me. I'll send you an alternative version just now via Telegram. So watch out for that. You can use that tonight to practice one more time this lesson. Okay. Anyone going to join the later session?
I don't think I can. And thank you for that. That's the first time I've managed to stay on the whole session.
Yeah, you've done well. I have to say that was what are we, 4 o'clock? So that was 3.5 hours for you.
Well, I was doing stuff in the background, but thank you for that. But yeah, I've got stuff I need to focus on, so I can't stay on.
Yeah, well, tune into the recording, or you can always watch on the live stream.
Yeah, I will do. Well, it's the bits that you do that aren't recorded, that are not recorded, that are, the key bits, I think. So it's nice to do those. Right.
Yeah. Well, those are all on the group. Yeah, they recorded on the Telegram group, so you can access it. Yeah. Okay. So any final comments, questions, anyone? Or happy to end it there. Good session. Was that? Did you enjoy that, Susie? I am breathing. You just muted yourself. Was that good? I'll ask you to unmute. Or you figure out how to unmute. You've muted yourself. There we go. Oh, we can't hear you now. I don't know. Can't hear your sound. Yeah, it's gone. Never mind. Okay, thanks everyone. So those who want to join, see you in about 50 minutes if you'd like to join the evening session. Otherwise, tomorrow.
Okay, thanks very much, John.
All right. We should have a chat soon. So let me know when.
Yeah, let me know when it's a good time for you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Sort of evening. Do you do late evening after?
I'm not always kind of with it, and it just depends. Are you busy now? Like, because we can have just a quick 5-minute chat, 10-minute chat, unless you've got to prepare for your next session.
Well, I can sort of. I've got a little bit of time. Yeah. So okay, let's do that. I'll stop the recording. Stay on.
Stop recording and.
Share.